The Galactic Council gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall, a spectacle of light and sound meant to display the power and wisdom of the universe's oldest civilizations. Representatives from hundreds of star systems were present, each species showcasing their distinct blend of colors, patterns, and ethereal appearances. They had gathered to discuss an insignificant matter, a minor violation by a primitive world known as Earth. Most council members dismissed Earth as an underdeveloped, self-absorbed planet filled with creatures more concerned with their trivial conflicts and entertainment than with any serious cosmic aspirations. They scoffed at the species' recent entry into space travel, viewing Earth as little more than a curiosity, unworthy of true recognition among the stars. The violation was trivial in their eyes. A probe from Earth had drifted too close to one of the Council's border monitoring stations. It posed no threat, but protocol demanded that any breach, however small, be addressed. The Council didn't need an excuse to act. This was just a convenient opportunity to reinforce their authority. The conversation among representatives quickly turned from discussion to derision. With quiet, amused arrogance, they decided Earth needed to be corrected. A few cautious voices raised concerns, pointing out that Earth's rapid technological advancements and resilience in facing challenges hinted at potential. But these suggestions were brushed aside. A swift, decisive action was seen as a way to send a message. They would initiate a controlled intervention, a show of power to ensure Earth understood its place. The decision was finalized. A fleet would be dispatched, armed and prepared to demonstrate the Council's overwhelming force without causing widespread destruction. The goal wasn't annihilation but subjugation. Earth needed to be reminded that their minor steps into space came with rules they hadn't been invited to shape. As preparations for the fleet's departure began, the Council's strategists confidently planned the operation, reviewing Earth's limited defense capabilities and concluding the mission would be quick and effortless. They saw no reason to mobilize their best forces. A minimal contingent would be more than sufficient to remind Earth of its standing. Commanders were briefed with light-hearted instructions on the nuances of Earth's defenses, dismissing human resilience as a historical curiosity rather than a real threat. Meanwhile, Earth's monitoring stations detected strange signals in their atmosphere, a foreign presence. The nations of Earth, usually absorbed in their internal disputes, found themselves united by the looming, mysterious fleet hovering beyond their world. Information spread quickly, igniting a mixture of fear and defiance among the population. Leaders were briefed, and military commanders scrambled to analyze what little intelligence they could gather about the alien vessels. The sight of the alien fleet sparked memories of old science fiction movies for many, a surreal merging of fiction and reality that was hard to grasp. Humanity's leaders understood they faced an impossible battle. They lacked the advanced weaponry and defenses of their aggressors, but surrender was unthinkable. The message was clear: the alien fleet wanted Earth to submit. But humanity had a history of resistance, of finding unity in the face of overwhelming odds. In secret, military forces across the planet began strategizing, calling on every technological advancement and military resource, no matter how minor, to create some form of defense. A call went out to all nations to unite in the face of the invasion. Though rivalries remained, a rare spirit of solidarity emerged, driven by the shared desire to defend their home. Scientists and engineers who had been working on space projects, some even in private companies, pooled their resources and knowledge. Civilians volunteered, industries adapted, and every capable hand began contributing to an effort that, just days before, would have been considered fantasy. The Council's fleet entered Earth's orbit and sent a brief, imposing message to the human leaders, translated and transmitted across every available channel. It was direct and uncompromising, a demand for immediate compliance. The ultimatum was met with silence at first, a silence that the alien commanders interpreted as fear. To them, humanity's lack of response was submission, and acceptance of their place under the Council's authority. But Earth's leaders had a different response in mind. In a carefully coordinated act, they activated a makeshift global defense system. With a mixture of older missile technology, repurposed satellites, and an arsenal that included unconventional electronic countermeasures, humanity launched their counterattack. The Council's forces expected minor resistance at most, a few moments of symbolic defiance before submission. But the first wave of human missiles, though primitive by galactic standards, managed to bypass some of the alien defenses, hitting ships in unexpected places. Alien commanders were stunned, not by the power of the attack but by the sheer audacity of it. They had anticipated easy compliance, not resistance. As the Council's fleet adjusted their positions to counter the attacks, they noted something unsettling: human ingenuity at work. Earth's forces, with limited resources, adapted with rapid precision, deploying decoy tactics, scrambling communications, and forcing the alien fleet to stretch their resources thin. Human ground forces worked to defend key locations, while civilians organized in unexpected ways to support the military efforts. The Council commanders began to realize that they had severely underestimated Earth's capacity for resistance. Their fleets, though technologically superior, struggled to maintain control as humans exploited every gap and delay, however small, to push back. It was a level of defiance that had rarely been seen, and it rattled the alien forces. Watching from the Council's distant base, high-ranking members observed the situation with a growing sense of irritation. The decision had been intended as a display of superiority, a lesson to this small world about galactic order. But what had started as a simple mission was turning into a costly display, with no easy path to victory. As the alien fleet settled into its positions around Earth, the Council's confidence was shaken, but they dismissed the initial resistance as a lucky fluke. The alien commanders recalibrated their strategies, assuming that a concentrated show of power would break humanity's will. They began deploying tactical strikes, targeting critical infrastructure while deliberately avoiding massive civilian casualties to enforce submission rather than destruction. However, Earth's defenders responded with an unwavering determination that puzzled and frustrated the alien invaders. Human forces, with their decentralized and adaptive strategies, began to exploit every oversight in the alien tactics. Using guerrilla-style maneuvers and coordinating through improvised encrypted channels, they struck back unexpectedly, from sabotaging alien landing craft to disrupting communication relays. It wasn't just conventional forces. Civilians mobilized in unprecedented ways, working alongside the military, repurposing everything from drones to small aircraft in coordinated defensive efforts. This unexpected cohesion, forged from diverse backgrounds and experiences, caught the alien forces off guard. The Council's commanders found themselves in a prolonged conflict, something they were utterly unprepared for. Earth's leaders, operating from underground command centers, seized upon the chaos they'd created to launch a counteroffensive. Using hastily modified space technology and unconventional tactics, they managed to isolate small groups of alien ships, forcing them into vulnerable positions. The alien fleet, built for precision and order, found it difficult to counter Earth's improvisational style. Alien troops and pilots, unused to prolonged resistance, began to experience a rare and disconcerting feeling: fear. This was not the docile population they had expected to intimidate. They were dealing with a species that adapted swiftly and fought with unmatched fervor. Frustration mounted among the Council's commanders as losses began to pile up in both material and morale. Ships that were not meant for drawn-out battles began experiencing technical issues, as they were built to enforce compliance, not sustain prolonged skirmishes. Back on the Council's base, watching the events unfold in real time, high-ranking officials were visibly concerned, questioning whether they had underestimated Earth's capabilities. They had relied on assumptions about human limitations and had been caught unprepared for the depth of Earth's ingenuity. With each passing hour, humanity grew bolder, and the tides slowly began to shift. Knowing that victory was far from assured, Earth's forces pushed their luck, employing unpredictable tactics that often bordered on reckless. Yet these same tactics forced the alien fleet to spread thin, weakening their unified structure and exposing weaknesses. The Council commanders' frustration turned to desperation as they realized the threat of defeat was no longer theoretical. The alien fleet attempted a regroup, hoping to bring the situation under control by deploying advanced defense mechanisms and focusing their firepower. But Earth's fighters had grown more adept with each encounter, exploiting weaknesses with ruthless efficiency. They began identifying specific vulnerabilities in alien technology, small design flaws, predictable response patterns, and over-reliance on automated defense systems. Rather than trying to match the aliens blow for blow, Earth's defenders hit strategic points that destabilized entire sectors of the alien line. The Council, still observing from afar, grew increasingly aware of their fleet's struggle. What they had thought would be a swift, decisive show of dominance was rapidly becoming a costly engagement, both in terms of resources and political reputation. Alien civilizations that had watched Earth with detached curiosity were now witnessing a rare spectacle, an inferior species turning the tables on one of the galaxy's most formidable alliances. The Council's aura of invincibility began to erode, and whispers spread through its ranks of the dangerous precedent Earth's resistance was setting. On Earth, humanity sensed that it had moved past mere survival. The once overwhelming alien threat had shown vulnerability, igniting a fierce, almost primal drive across the population. News of alien setbacks spread quickly, and morale surged. In a rare moment of unity, the nations of Earth coordinated under a single purpose: defend their home at all costs. Industry accelerated, producing more equipment and supplies for the fight, and citizens continued to volunteer in droves, supporting the frontline efforts in any way they could. It was clear that humans were fighting for more than survival. They were defending their right to exist free from domination. Alien commanders scrambled to regroup, issuing directives with a sense of urgency that had been absent at the mission's onset. Yet, the alien forces lacked the adaptability and resilience that defined their human adversaries. As the Council's fleet fractured under pressure, isolated divisions began experiencing defeats at an unprecedented rate. Alien morale dipped, their confidence shaken by each failure. For the first time in their history, the Council realized that they had met an opponent that could not be conquered through fear alone. In a final attempt to salvage the situation, the Council's commanders ordered a full retreat of their forces to regroup and reassess. Ships pulled back, breaking formation and scrambling to escape Earth's atmosphere, while alien troops struggled to disengage from ground battles without sustaining further casualties. Earth's forces continued pressing forward, exploiting every opportunity to strike as the alien fleet attempted to retreat. The Council's decision-makers, witnessing the retreat in disbelief, understood that the consequences of this encounter would ripple across the galaxy. Humanity had not just resisted, they had exposed vulnerabilities within the Council's strategy, proving that even the most advanced empires were not immune to defeat. This victory wasn't just one of tactics but of spirit, a message sent across the stars that Earth was not a planet to be underestimated. The Council's retreat signaled a monumental shift, but Earth's leaders knew they could not count on luck alone to keep their world safe. Behind the scenes, a group of Earth's top scientists and engineers had been developing an experimental defense system for years, designed as a last resort measure in case of existential threats. Unveiling the weapon now was risky. It was untested and could backfire with catastrophic consequences. Yet Earth's resolve outweighed the risks, and as reports of alien withdrawal surfaced, the decision was made to deploy this experimental technology, hoping to strike a decisive blow. The system was activated, drawing on an enormous reserve of Earth's resources. This was no ordinary weapon. It employed a combination of technologies from both Earth's military and scientific communities, from electromagnetic pulses capable of disabling alien communication networks to kinetic launchers that could deliver concentrated force with pinpoint accuracy. It was a culmination of decades of theoretical work, piecing together advancements across fields: computational science, energy manipulation, and quantum physics. While alien forces had counted on Earth's reliance on conventional arms, this system was a leap that none of them could have anticipated. As the weapon engaged, the alien fleet found itself unable to respond effectively. Their ships, outfitted with highly sensitive technology, were immediately disrupted by the electromagnetic interference. Targeting systems malfunctioned, communications were scrambled, and engines struggled under fluctuating power surges. Ships that had previously operated with flawless precision were thrown into disarray, vulnerable to even Earth's most basic attacks. Alien commanders, previously confident, were faced with a level of chaos they had never anticipated. Earth's forces seized the moment. With the alien fleet paralyzed, human forces launched a coordinated strike, focusing on eliminating key assets that had sustained the alien operations. Alien ships were disabled in waves, many unable to fire a single retaliatory shot. The Council's tactical advantage dissolved as their sophisticated technology crumbled under the weight of Earth's unprecedented countermeasures. Alien command centers, once composed and confident, now relayed frantic orders as they tried to navigate the confusion, but their efforts were too fragmented to reverse the situation. The impact of Earth's secret weapon went beyond immediate military gains. Alien engineers on board the Council's ships scrambled to decipher the nature of the attack, attempting to isolate the cause of their technological failures. They quickly realized that their advanced defenses, tailored for organized, large-scale combat, had no failsafe for the type of interference Earth had introduced. The alien systems, optimized for coordination and central control, failed to respond effectively to the unpredictable disruptions now overtaking their fleet. This revelation sent waves of panic through the ranks, as the realization set in that they were not only being outmaneuvered but that their technology was flawed in ways they had never considered. Humanity's unity and resilience had reached a critical tipping point, pushing the alien fleet to the edge of defeat. The Council's commanders were forced to confront the possibility of complete annihilation, a scenario they had never imagined when they'd first sent their forces to Earth. Alien morale plummeted, and communication between ships broke down as many struggled to navigate the disabling effects of Earth's attack. Commanders were left to improvise individually, further disorganizing the fleet and leaving pockets of their forces vulnerable to human retaliation. The Council's strategic advisors, watching the battle unfold from afar, were finally forced to accept the scale of their miscalculation. This was no simple encounter with a lesser species. This was a full-scale conflict against a world that had refused to yield. What had once seemed like Earth's weakness, its diverse, decentralized approach, had become its greatest strength. The Council members, who had previously scoffed at the idea of Earth as a real threat, now found themselves facing the unthinkable. They were losing, and they lacked any viable strategy to reverse the situation. Despite this breakthrough, Earth's leaders understood the necessity of caution. While their countermeasures had proven effective, they knew the Council would learn from this encounter. The longer the battle continued, the greater the chance the aliens would adapt and counter Earth's newfound advantage. Aware of the limitations of their own resources and the risks of prolonging the conflict, human forces pushed forward with precision, seeking to capitalize on the alien fleet's disarray while it lasted. Alien forces that remained functional attempted a desperate retreat, struggling to escape Earth's gravitational pull and regroup in safer space. Human forces, however, were relentless. Armed with their newfound technological leverage, they pursued the retreating ships, taking down those that strayed from the main fleet. Every effort was made to ensure that the Council's forces would leave Earth's orbit with fewer numbers and a clear message. Humanity would not stand idly by and accept its fate. The Council's commanders, thoroughly humbled and wary, finally issued the order to abandon the assault. Their pride had cost them dearly, and now they bore witness to the consequences of their hubris. Ships fled in various directions, carrying with them the scars of a battle that had proven Earth's resilience beyond any doubt. Earth's forces, though exhausted, watched as the once feared alien fleet retreated, marking an unprecedented victory for humanity. The deployment of Earth's secret weapon had been a gamble that paid off in ways that even its creators had not anticipated. As the last of the alien ships disappeared beyond view, humanity knew that this was more than just a military success. It was the start of a new chapter. Earth's triumph signaled to the galaxy that humans were no longer passive inhabitants of their small, blue planet. They were a force capable of defending themselves, of innovating under pressure, and of turning the tide in their favor even when the odds were overwhelmingly against them. The battered remnants of the Council's fleet limped away from Earth, a stark reminder of their unprecedented defeat. This conflict, which they had expected to be a trivial display of power, had become a humiliating lesson. The Galactic Council was not accustomed to failure, and the shock of being forced into retreat left many of its members reeling. In the aftermath, Debates erupted within the Council's ranks as representatives clashed over who was to blame for the disastrous miscalculation. Some argued that the Council had underestimated Earth from the start, dismissing humans as primitive without properly assessing their potential. Others insisted that the fleet's tactics had been flawed, relying too heavily on protocols that ignored the unique adaptive nature of Earth's inhabitants. Accusations flew, and once close alliances within the Council began to fracture under the weight of their collective humiliation. The outcome was undeniable. Earth had not only defended itself but had exposed vulnerabilities within the Council's forces that many had assumed were infallible. As reports circulated across the galaxy, other civilizations took notice. Species that had long lived in fear of the Council's dominance began to see hope in Earth's victory. Some even saw it as a turning point, proof that resistance against the Council was not only possible but could succeed if backed by resilience and ingenuity. The Council's image, once unbreakable, now bore the marks of its failed conquest, and whispers of rebellion spread among those who had once believed their only choice was submission. On Earth, humanity celebrated a hard-earned victory, but leaders and military officials understood that this was only the beginning. They knew the Council would not easily forget the sting of defeat, and would likely return with greater force and better preparation. The threat had not been eliminated, only delayed. Earth's survival now depended on its ability to maintain the unity and spirit that had carried it through the recent conflict. Knowing that their defenses had been stretched to their limits, Earth's scientists and strategists immediately began working to improve and expand their newfound technological capabilities. In the midst of their preparation, Earth's leaders made a bold decision. Recognizing that humanity's isolation left them vulnerable, they sought to establish diplomatic channels with other civilizations, those who, like Earth, had reasons to fear the Council's power. Messages were sent across space, offering alliances and cooperation to any willing to stand against oppression. Earth's willingness to extend a hand to other species was both a strategic move and a testament to their understanding of the larger fight ahead. They understood that unity, not isolation, would be their greatest strength in a galaxy now fraught with political tension. The Council, still reeling, faced a dilemma. They could not afford to ignore Earth's challenge, but a second failed attempt to subdue the planet would risk irrevocably shattering their authority. Council strategists deliberated on their next steps, realizing they could no longer approach Earth as a mere backwater. Reports from the field revealed how Earth's adaptability had turned its scattered resources into a formidable defense. Any future engagement would require a comprehensive reassessment, including countermeasures for the very tactics and technology that had caught them off guard. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders used the respite to build upon their victory. Advances in weaponry, defenses, and tactical training progressed rapidly. Civilians who had witnessed the invasion firsthand contributed their knowledge and creativity, spurring innovation at an unprecedented pace. Earth was no longer simply reacting to threats, it was proactively preparing, evolving to meet the standards of a galaxy in which it now played an active role. Back within the Council, efforts to restore its fractured alliances faced resistance. The Council's leaders, aware of the growing dissatisfaction among their own member civilizations, initiated campaigns to restore their image, promoting a narrative of Earth as a dangerous anomaly. They sought to portray humanity as unpredictable, a force that threatened the galaxy's stability, to justify their actions. But the galaxy's perception had shifted, and many were no longer willing to accept the Council's portrayal of events uncritically. Earth's resistance had inspired a reevaluation of the Council's authority, and the value of autonomy for every world under its influence. Earth's diplomatic overtures began to bear fruit, as tentative alliances formed with other civilizations eager to protect their own sovereignty. These alliances, though nascent, represented a new kind of resistance, a coalition based on shared interests rather than fear. In a galaxy that had long been dominated by the Council's decrees, these newly united voices represented a potential shift in the balance of power. Earth's ability to inspire such a coalition was, in itself, a declaration that the era of uncontested dominance was beginning to fade. The Council faced a choice: escalate further and risk greater instability, or reconsider its approach to governing the galaxy. Even within its ranks, some began to question the wisdom of pursuing a prolonged conflict with a species as tenacious and unpredictable as humanity. A faction emerged, advocating for a measured approach, arguing that attempting to subjugate Earth through force would only solidify the growing resistance. But for the more traditional leaders of the Council, conceding to Earth was unthinkable, a challenge to the very foundation of their authority. Earth, meanwhile, had transformed from a vulnerable world into a symbol of resilience. Humanity's victory sent a clear message: it was not a species to be conquered or intimidated. The legacy of Earth's defense began to take root across the galaxy, marking the beginning of a new era where cooperation and solidarity became viable options against imperial control. The Council's supremacy, once unquestionable, now faced a formidable test, and its future rested on whether it could adapt to a galaxy unwilling to submit without question. As Earth and its allies prepared for what lay ahead, one thing was certain: humanity had irrevocably altered the galaxy's course. The Council could no longer operate with impunity, and every world now had an example of what was possible when a people stood together. Earth's victory was not just the defense of one world. It was a declaration that even the smallest voices, when united, could resonate across the stars and reshape the fate of civilizations.